Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to the Bump and Run. I don't remember what episode this is, but here we are. DB, Pat Perry, recording this a little late, so if it's dropping a little later than usual, we apologize. It's been a wild week for me, and then we were going to try to record yesterday, but Pat and his bougie self had to go and play Old Barnwell and drive right by me and not invite me to play Old Barnwell, so he couldn't make it, and we didn't want to do it without Pat, of course, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But here we are, another episode of the Bump and Run. It's going to be a fun episode. We're talking T-Gray, talking a little YouTube golf, some controversy at a Scramble, and then golf movie draft later on in the show. Producer Tony, why don't you kick us off? What do you got?
Yeah, the golf movie draft. I'm very excited to that one. But before we get to anything else, fellows, let's start it off with Tiger. LT Gray is back in action. We are recording this on Friday, so it's the second round of the Genesis. He should be teeing off here, I think, within the next hour or so. Not that timestamp means anything to anyone if you're going to be watching this later, but he is back on the course this week. His first tournament of 2024. Was a big week for him as he dropped his new clothing line too, the Sunday Red, 3 words, which I'm sure you guys have plenty of thoughts on. So DB, I'm going to throw that out to you first. Give me some thoughts on the new clothing line, the logo, what you've seen so far with some of the social stuff that they've put out there, and then maybe some overall thoughts on Tiger as well, 2024. Expectations, do we see him again in the winner's circle, 8 to 9 tournaments? What are we expecting from the big cat this year?
I have many thoughts on the Sunday Red thing. I will try not to get all of them out. I'll save some. I will say that I love the internet. It's so much fun to be on the internet. And this is where X, I think, is at its best when something like this happens and you get all the opinions, you get some funny memes. There's the one that made me, there's a couple that have made me laugh, but one that made me laugh is you remember the big black guy that's sitting on the edge of his bed naked with a huge dong. He was like a porn star, and I guess he's dead. But they had him sitting on top of that where one of the stripes is his dong. That cracked me up. The Slazenger comparisons, which, when I first started playing golf, I would play a Slazenger, and it's just very Club Pro guy to think about how much like Slazenger that logo looks. I will say I saw the Tiger without Sunday Red underneath it, and I liked it a little better. Like just that hit on a polo or on a hat, I do like a little better. The cat is growing on me. I like the 15 majors, 15 stripes kind of thing. I don't mind that. I think that's an interesting. It's definitely big corporate marketing brain stuff, but it just gets railed right up the tailpipe with the Sunday Red situation. And that guy, that marketing guy sitting next to Tiger explaining why it's a Sunday Red and the 3 words represent 3 words of power and all this. It was the biggest crock. Like, I just don't like it. I think it's dumb. And then when Tiger hit his shank on round 1 yesterday, and Jamie Weir tweeted out Thursday shank. That was lovely. Gotta love that. And also, I just think it's BS that there are people on Twitter. This pissed me off. People on Twitter going, "Oh, all you golf, hardos making fun of this, and you'll have 4 polos hanging in your closet by the end of the year. Like you're gonna buy this, you will, because you're a Tiger D rider." And all. I saw a lot of people commenting that, and I'm like, bro, no. Like if it's that, I'm not wearing any of that. I'm definitely not wearing it if it says Sunday Red. If it's just the Tiger, I might wear it, but I never bought Tiger stuff to begin with because I didn't really love the way it looked. But this is terrible. I don't think this is. I don't think Tiger's own personal brand far supersedes just someone actually looking at it and thinking that it's a good logo. I don't think it just we're just all hypnotized into buying it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's a horrible rollout, and it could have been an amazing, iconic brand. And they effed it up. They did. Like whoever he paid probably millions of dollars to figure this out screwed the pooch big time. Big time. I'll stop there on the clothing line, Pat.
I'm not as opinionated as you are on this. I think that I don't know. It feels so hard to come up with good branding. Hell, we couldn't even figure out a name for this show forever. And
You're not paying somebody millions of dollars
I
to
know.
figure it out.
I know, and I don't mind. I'm with you. I don't mind just the cat, just the tiger by itself. I think it's okay. I mean, yeah, it's a little similar with Slazenger and everything, but I still think it's not that bad. I don't like the Sunday red either being separated out. I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I'm like you, like I just never really bought the Tiger gear anyway. The Nike Tiger gear. It just never to me. Well, first off, I mean, I only really buy one type of golf thing anyway, so it's
got to be blue.
Yeah, so the red part already throws me off.
Yeah.
Although I love some Bulldog red, and it is a Bulldog red. It's closer to a Bulldog red than it is like a Bama red. But it to me, it's just there are still going to be a lot of people, a big demographic that buys this stuff in Dick's Sporting Goods.
But it just could have been so much cheaper.
In their Edwin watch or something that they're going into, they're going to buy this stuff. But I agree, it could have been a lot better. But I didn't have really high expectations. I really didn't.
How could you not have high expectations for this? He is the most dominant golfer ever. He is one of the most recognizable athletes ever, doing his own thing, paying with all the money in the world to pay all these smart people in the world to get this done. And how could you not have high expectations for it?
I didn't think it was going to be that great. And I don't think I've ever thought of a golfer brand of clothing as like a go-to brand of clothes. About the only thing that I think was really good was the Golden Bear line of stuff. Like just the Golden Bear on there.
That is such a boomer thing to say.
I don't care. I don't care. Like
you could have said Ashworth and it would have been
most golfers. Ashworth was another one, but it didn't have anything to do with Freddie Couples. He just wore Ashworth. It's like most players that are out there, like if you wear Peter Millar, that's just what you're wearing. It's not like your own logo. I feel like it's very hard to come up with your own logo that a ton of people.
Tiger Woods. You're Tiger Woods.
What do you want them to come up with? Like, I mean, what did you want it to be?
For sure, a tiger, right? Like the tiger has to be it. But why couldn't it just be that? Like, why couldn't the brand just be the tiger? And
you want it to be like a cartoon tiger or something?
Okay, I'm dead ass serious here. There are probably a half a dozen live logos that look better than this. The Legion 13 lion is way cooler than this jungle striped major cat. Like it's just.
I don't know if I agree with you there. I like the cat a little better.
It's okay.
I think the cat's subtle. I like smaller logos.
For who this is, it comes way short to me. Way short.
I really don't have it. Again, I don't have a huge opinion either way. Like I just don't.
You have to have a huge opinion, Patrick.
No, I don't. I don't want to have a big opinion on this. I don't. Why do I have to have a big opinion on it?
It's just awful to me. The other funny one that I just thought of is somebody turned the cat like vertical, like going straight up and down, and said it looks like a fused back, which is that was frequently. Yeah, it's. I was just hoping for better, way better, out of the best athlete golf has ever seen, probably ever will see. With all that money and all those smart people at his disposal, I just can't believe this is what they came up with. Anyway, I am happy to see Tiger at the Genesis. Fired off a couple of really nice bets on SoBet right before round one. Instead of, everybody wants to watch Tiger, you might as well sweat Tiger, and hit a couple bombs. Hit an even money little appetizer, just sprinkled that one on there because he had 4+ birdies on the round, but then hit the plus 550 bomb that he birdied all three of the par fives on day one. Love to see it. He had some bogeys. You could see some rust. I mean, he hit the ball off the tee really well. He gained strokes off the tee. He was hitting it over 300 at a regular clip, and the rest of the game was just not quite as sharp, which you can imagine. I think, while we did see him at the Hero, we saw him at the parent-child thing, and then over the holidays, he's probably going to, he's busy. He's coming up with this god-awful brand. He's probably not practicing as much as he wants to. And his first event out, like all these guys, when we see him at the Century or we see him at the Sony or the Amex, there's a little tournament rust. So I think that's to be expected. He shoots one over. He's technically inside this really weird cut line for the Genesis. I'm hoping he makes the cut. I still have good expectations for him. Tony said, do we think he's going to win this year? I think we've said this. I think, Pat, you said this. You kind of feel like the only tournament he has a chance of winning is Augusta, is the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe be swayed off of that. I don't know, based off of what we see this week from him. I agree. There was a lot of rust yesterday. I mean, a lot of bogeys, but those birdies were certainly, nice to see. The off the tee game was nice to see. I think it was to be expected. I mean, look, you could look at a guy like Willie Z. He came back at the Hero also and played horrible. And now all of a sudden, after a few golf tournaments, he's showing some signs. Tiger gets more in play and plays a few more events, feels good. I mean, I could probably change that attitude that Augusta might be the only place he can win. I mean, we don't know where else he's going to play, so I don't. It's hard to really predict that. But Augusta is just a golf course that he has traditionally just played really well at, whereas this one is not. I mean, he's never won here. So I do want to see what he does today. I do hope he makes the cut, makes it through to the weekend, and then really, what are we going to see on Sunday? What's Tiger's body like on Sunday if he does make it to the weekend? But it is awesome I hated, I love that I was playing golf yesterday on a really cool golf course, but I hated that I didn't get to see much of Tiger. But I will get to see it today. So
he did hit that. He did hit a nasty shank I referenced earlier.
Yes, I did see that on Twitter.
In his presser, he mentioned that his back was kind of spasming on the last few holes. Something to keep an eye on, but we'll see. It's also going to be funny to see if he becomes, if he leans into like this brand influencer a little more now that it's his own. Obviously Nike was paying him a boatload of cash, and it's not like he really needs the money, but I wonder if there's something in him. He's so competitive. Like if there's something in him that is going to drive him to want to promote his own brand at a further, at a deeper level than he did with Nike. And if that means we see him, doing like influencer things,
Well, the other thing is if he's going to be leaning into this brand, is there going to be any players that start to wear the brand?
Oh yeah, you think like that? Let another player do that?
I mean, you would think if it's his own. I mean, when it was Nike and he had the TW and all that kind of stuff, which he just let go. Apparently, he didn't really want to keep that. I mean, it's just Tiger related. Whereas Sunday Red is really, I mean, it's his brand, but it could be anybody. And so there could be a player out there that he signs that could be a big deal for it. So
it's got to be Justin Thomas. I mean, if he signs anybody, it's JT, right?
I don't know. I think JT likes the Grayson stuff.
Yeah,
he feels all in on the Grayson.
Okay, it doesn't matter if Tiger Woods.
Who would he sign? Let's. This is actually interesting. Who do you think?
JT. JT is the betting favorite, 100%.
You don't think it'd be a young guy?
It would be JT first for sure.
Yeah.
I think if he signed anybody outside, I think he would look more outside the PGA Tour if he's trying to do like the influencer type thing, like these, what we'll get to in this next topic, good foreplay, some of these golf YouTube influencer type stuff.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
He's trying to hit that younger market and build that brand, build that influencer type stuff up, and you'll see videos, you'll see clothing lines sponsored by those guys as opposed to 12 guys on the PGA Tour.
Foreplay is going to be
Riggs would just Riggs would be. I mean, I know the joke is played out because I think we talked about it with Pat and Jake Knapp, but Riggs would be full on Anchorman pants the entire time he was sponsored by Sunday Red. Yeah, I don't know. I think Tiger to an extent. I don't know. Like, do you think Tiger looks at his brand as more of the elite? Like, you're like, if he's going to pay to put it on somebody and he wants somebody repping it, he wants him to be elite. He wants him to be like the best at the game, not an amateur, not Ricks who literally has the chipping yips and keeps showing us videos every week about it. Like I
don't know.
You know what I mean?
I'd have to put some thought to who I would think would be in the SDR.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe let's move on. Let's talk about YouTube golf before we do. Maybe Tiger and his team should have checked out our friends at Swannies first. I mean, I think they could have come up with something nice because Swannies has been taking care of us. They've been taking care of the people since 2015. The same year we started, Swannies.co launched some great golf products, and you can get polos, you can get shorts, you can get hats. They got some really cool hats, accessories, all that good stuff at Swannies.co. The link is in the description of the video and the podcast for yourself. If you're a man, if you have a wife that likes to play golf, maybe you are a wife listening to this show. We don't have a lot of those, but we welcome them. Juniors, they got clothes for those too. So get you a little polo for junior pants or whatever, and it'll be a good time. Swannies.co, promo code TJ25 gets you 25% off your entire order, and you can use it over and over again. They're supporting us this year. We ask you support them if you want to buy some good golf stuff. And the spring, summer stuff is already starting to drop on the site. I just saw some new stuff the other day, perusing around. So, all right, let's move on. YouTube golf. Tony, did you have any teasers here you want to talk about in specifics?
I do. Specifically, it was announced today that the queue at Myrtle Beach, it's going to feature 16 players, including the game's most prominent golf content creators, which are invited.
They didn't ask us. They didn't.
Yeah, it must have got lost in the mail, so I think they replaced us with Paige or somebody like that. But equal playing fields. But as the PGA Tour comes to the golf capital of the world for the first time with the debut of the Myrtle Beach Classic, the tournament will feature a one-of-a-kind qualifying tournament with the winner receiving a sponsor's exemption into the tour.
What? Hold on. There's so much there. Are you reading this off of somewhere? Did you say that Myrtle Beach is the golf capital of the world, or is the article saying that?
This is the press release.
Okay, so first of all, that's wrong. They're gonna let one of these people play in the tour event.
So here's the list. Let me
golf capital of the world, by the way, is in caps, as if that's they own that.
They're following the tour model.
Yeah.
So here's
the Myrtle Beach.
Here's the 16 player field, DB. We got Matt Akins.
Oh, Matt Atkins. That's our boy. He's a Championship Retreat member. He deserves to be in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. George Bryan, Jay Card III, Morgan Deenan, Peter Finch, Grant Horvat, Luke Kwan.
Yep.
Micah Morris.
Okay.
Turk Petit, Daniel Rappaport, Scott Stevens, Nick Stube, also known Fat Perez.
Oh.
I'm not good with words, so if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, excuse that. Tyler Watts, Jamie Wilson, and then Mason Nutt or Cole Lance of Busta Jack.
Mason Nutt's a fan of the Tour Junkies, by the way.
So that's the 16 field, 16-man field. And one of those guys will get a sponsor exemption into the Myrtle Beach Classic.
When is that event?
It is May 6th to the 12th.
Okay. Sorry.
I would love to go down there and watch that.
I don't think I would.
Can you imagine Dan Rappaport? I mean, who's a good golfer?
So let me clarify, DB. This event, March 4th at TPC Myrtle Beach, the Myrtle Beach Classic, May 6th through the 12th.
March 4th is going to be tougher for me to pull off. Wow. So you had Micah Morris, one of the original good guys. Grant Horvat, same. Fab Perez, obviously pretty good golfer. I mean, D-Rap's a good golfer. Luke Kwan, who's on good now, was a Korn Ferry Tour stud. So, I mean, sure. Matt Atkins, Korn Ferry Tour stud, played in PGA Tour events, great player. A lot of those other guys I don't necessarily recognize. So this is a little better of a field than what I thought you were going to tell me. Like if you're going to tell me, that certain other people were going to be in there, that would be bad. But I still like that's quite the risk because these guys are probably used to hitting golf balls in front of cameras and their buddies. But I mean, we saw what happened to what's his face, Garrett Clark, a couple months ago at that tournament where he hoselled one off the tee and it hit a guy. You remember that?
Yeah,
now,
that was.
I think you're an idiot if you're standing there, but
yeah,
I mean, at a PGA Tour event, like they call your name, they pair you up with, Joel Damon and I don't know, Michael Kim, two big Twitter influencers or whatever. They pair you up with those guys, and you're at a PGA Tour event, the first round, both fairways are lined right by the tee box.
So a little more back story on this too. So you just mentioned a lot of these guys are good. This qualifying event, it's for all professional and amateur competitors to meet the PGA Tour regulations for a sponsor's exemption, which requires a USGA handicap of 0 or better. So these are good players. I think you throw out the YouTube content creator to get the headlines, and then people have certain, thoughts, assessments about that. But these are good players, and it's coming off of last week with the WM Phoenix, or the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and the good they had their Desert Open, which I didn't really follow that. I didn't really see.
I watched it.
Okay, so was that on Golf Channel? Because I know that George Savaricas was on the call for it. Andres Gonzalez, and did a ton of views on YouTube. Even Golf Channel's YouTube page, which I went and checked it out this morning. They put highlights of that on their YouTube page, and it had almost 200,000 views for the Golf Channel's page. When most of their stuff, Tiger highlights, Dubai, Rory winning in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, has tops 3,000-4,000 views. So that there was a lot of steam with that.
Listen, the YouTube golf thing is exploding, right? It's here. The wave is here. And so I watched it because I heard a bunch of people talking about it, and I was curious, and I was up odd hours of the night trying to sleep on a hospital couch bed situation. And I just put it on and I watched all of it. Like, it's like 2 hours long. I don't think it was on the Golf Channel, but it was broadcast by NBC. I mean, NBC did some of they had camera crews there. The graphics that came on the screen were NBC branded and graphics. They had an NBC Peacock thing going in, like a transition. You mentioned George Savaricas did a great job. Andres Gonzalez is hilarious. It was entertaining. It had some hiccups production wise and tech wise. So it was not flawless like an NBC broadcast you would watch at a golf tournament, but it was very entertaining. They had Riggs and Francis from Barstool walking around doing commentating. Blair O'Neill was commentating. Riggs and Blair, whatever, but Francis was hilarious. Francis was really funny. And yeah, they had a lot of huge influencers out there. A lot of them you just mentioned. Paige Sporanic was out there. They had Mason from Bust the Jack. It was fun golf, and that Grass Clippings golf course is another one that it's cool to see some of this innovation. Like, it's innovative for the Myrtle Beach thing. I'm sure that's a tournament director of that Myrtle Beach event. That's their concoction. Cool that the tour is letting them do something like this with the sponsors exemption. That's quite forward thinking for the tour. And the Grass Clippings golf course is forward thinking for golf in general. That place, it was a absolute turd hole, and whoever bought it completely renovated it, made it nicer, put lights up all on the golf course. It's 18 holes. I think the furthest hole is like a 280-yard par 4, and it's a bunch of par 3s and short par 4s. Very playable to the public. Very cool venue and very cool idea that a place like that could do something like that. So it's fun to see that. I wish more. I hope that's kind of the next wave in golf course stuff, along with obviously the YouTube golf stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have not seen it, so I can't comment on what the broadcast was like. I have heard about that Grass Clippings course, and I think that is a cool idea. I mean, I was just talking to you yesterday, DB, about how I liked the course I played yesterday. It had 3 par 4s that were drivable type par 4s that I think makes the game fun for a lot of people. So I think that's interesting. Going back to the Myrtle Beach thing, if I were going to put odds on the favorite, I think I'd probably go with your South Carolina boys, like a George Bryan or Matt Atkins. I think those are going to be maybe the 2 favorites. Maybe throw Jay Card in there because he's done well. Had a top 10 last year on the Korn Ferry Tour. So I think that'll be interesting. I mean, these are guys that, Matt Atkins has a lot of PGA Tour starts and Korn Ferry starts. They are used to this. So you feel like one of those, few are going to make it in. And I think that, they won't be, those guys won't embarrass themselves in a pro event. I don't think. I mean, George Bryan did play I think he played in Bermuda last year.
Yeah,
too,
he made the cut. Yeah, Matt and George are not, and I don't think Luke Kwan, any of those guys that did some Korn Ferry Tour stuff, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, Fat Perez, Grant Horvat, like that's
it'll be interesting to see how they do.
That's getting into that territory,
Yeah. but that makes it entertaining also for if you're going to watch it. Like you do feel like you're going to get some entertainment out of those folks too. So
yeah.
What do you
and
think?
Dan and I buried the hatchet at the WM Phoenix Open.
Maybe he'll let you caddy for him. Maybe you caddy for him, Pat.
Maybe I caddy for him or something. I don't know.
What do you think one of those guys shoots? Let's say Fat Perez. And again, my ignorance here. I'm not a huge golf YouTube, dialed in to know their game, all that kind of stuff. I see, they got to carry a 0 handicap or higher. And, obviously that points out, okay, they're good players, but these guys on the PGA Tour, the way they're setting up the courses, that's what I've always heard. There are, ton of good golfers out there, but you put them out on these PGA Tour style setup courses and they're going to shoot 80 plus, a guy like that. Some of these guys who haven't had Corn Ferry Tour starts, they're just good golfers. They're scratch golfers. What do you think they shoot on a tour course that's set up for the pros?
I think like Fat Perez, I could see him maybe 74, 75, somewhere in that range. I don't see him going under par. And then I don't know how many rounds, if it says how many rounds they play. One round. I mean, yeah, I mean, he could get hot and maybe shoot even par. I did watch actually. I think when I was coming back from the WM, they had the par 3 kind of tournament that Fat Perez was doing, and they were paired with like Joel Damon and Keith Mitchell and those guys. I don't know if you watched any of that, but literally like the first 3 or 4 holes, and it was a par. It was all par 3s. Fat Perez is like knocking it inside the Tour Pros like every single time to do. I mean, if this is with their wedges only, he probably has a chance. But I mean, he's a pretty good player. So, but I just don't see him in these type setups, being under par.
So TPC Myrtle Beach is a Tom Fazio. It's a par 72, 6,900 yards. The rating is 7. This is from the tips. The rating is 74.3. The slope is 154. This seems easy to me. I'm looking at the scorecard. Like all these par 5s are quite gettable. Yeah, all the par 5s are going to be gettable. A couple short par 4s. 1, 2. There's not a single par 3 over 200 yards. So I mean, unless it's windy, I think just like regular golf, right? Like if the golf course is difficult, set up difficult, or the weather makes it difficult, it's going to make the better players rise to the top, in my opinion. It's going to make the Matt Atkins of the world, the George Bryans, that much more likely to beat those guys. But if it's a birdie fest and it's easier, 6,900 yards, and there's no wind, then maybe a guy like Fat Perez could get hot, and make it happen. But that is really interesting. I'm going to reach out to Matt and see if we can get some more info on this. Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Cool.
All right, fellas, moving on to further amateur golf. I wanted to ask you guys about this. I got a video here to play for you as well. I'll set it up a little bit, but a Scramble team shoots a 48, and we got this guy who recorded it here.
Oh yeah. Let's have the team come up real quick.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh really? You guys are now on Sire Golf.
We want one of these guys on your team.
Yeah, seriously.
48?
They don't get.
I was like, wait, we did 40 and 38. That's why.
That's creative, man.
Even when I cheat, I don't go that low. 48. I'm a +2, and we shot 59. No big deal, but they beat us by 11. Sounds reasonable.
When I turned in my score, he thought my math was wrong. Fucking triple digits, buddy.
Now, I'm not a huge tournament golf guy, so I've never been burned or done anything kind of quite like that. But I know that you guys play quite a bit. You guys are good golfers, playing some tourneys and whatnot. So have you guys ever experienced anything like this? DB, I'll throw it out to you first. Experienced anything like that? And there's no possible way that these guys shot 48, right? In a Scramble?
No, not. There's no way. I have been a part of literally every Scramble I've ever been a part of. I felt like there was one team that there's no way it happened, but I've never seen a 48. Like that's really ridiculous. But you know what? If you got the sack to turn in a 48 And a couple of those guys look like they were in their 40s or 50s at minimum. If that's the sack you have, bravo to you. And you know what? I say the guy who's recording is a jackass because why are you making it about you, buddy? Like, why are you turning it around? He even says in the beginning, you guys are going to be on Zyra Golf, the huge golf Instagram account, which is funny that he said that. But also, you know, you turn the camera, I'm a +2, blah, I shot, no big deal, and then turns it back around on himself at the end. Actually, I think that guy's a loser because the dudes that shot a 48 and went up there and took their trophy and turned around and took a picture and said,
smiling.
that is pretty gangster. I give it to those guys. Like if one of those guys is my granddad, I'm like, hell yeah, granddad. Like I know you didn't shoot a dang 48, but God dang it. Like you're ready to throw fists if somebody disagreed or you're ready to like fight a guy. Like I love that actually.
Pap, tell me about the time you shot 48 in that Scramble.
Jeez. Listen, I agree with DB on this one. This guy that when he turns around the camera, especially, and he's like, I'm a +2 and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know, or we had all like 3 scratch golfers on our team or whatever he says. I mean, come on, dude. And then why do you care so much? I mean, you're probably playing for the Boy Scouts of America or something, you know, or some Girl Scouts or something. I mean, like, this is a charity event. Most likely, I mean, they all are. I mean, just deal with it. Don't get so mad about these guys. And look, I also don't have you never know. There's so much trash in these tournaments. Like you can get a string and if you have enough string that you've paid for, like it extends your putt into the hole. And like those guys maybe they paid $200 for all their trash and the other guys didn't. So they had like 10, they had 20 mulligans and the other team was too cheap and they didn't want to give the charity more money. And so they just didn't have any mulligans. So I don't know.
What if one of those guys had a rich wife and he's a widower and he inherited a bunch of money and he just doesn't care. And if a tournament doesn't put a cap on all the mulligans you can buy and the feet of string you can buy and the bus rides you can buy and all the throws and the kicks and all those things you can buy, if they don't put a cap on that, and you know, Daddy Warbucks comes out there and just buys up a whole a ball of yarn and string and kicks everybody's ass, then more power to them. Like empty your pockets there, grandson. Do your thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with that.
The ultimate cause is, you know, they're playing for a cause. So that's it. It is what it is.
And I couldn't agree more, Pat, with the like, you don't go into I think the first 3 charity events I ever played in my life at like 20 years old, I might have gone in thinking like, ooh, I'd like to win this. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this charity outing. And then it took 3 to realize, okay, yeah, I have to have me and 3 buddies have to be basically scratch golfers. And we have to be able to pencil whip and lie to win these things. So from that point on, I just learned I'm not winning. I don't show up to win them. I show up to have fun, have some drinks, contribute to charity, have some good food, maybe win a raffle prize or 2, have a good day out on the course with your boys. You just have to go in there with that mindset. Expectation gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100% agree on that. I mean, that's what you're out there for. I mean, everybody's competitive. Everybody likes to try and win. But look, you can't go out, especially in these scrambles, with any sort of expectation. No. Other than to have some fun.
But be on the lookout for that little gaggle of senior citizens rolling up at your, you know, just because you look up and see like, oh yeah, we got this. You're in your, you know, I guarantee that dude was in his white belt. He had his, you know, he had his damn G4s on. He had his white belt. You know, he rolled out his
iron brush hanging from the belt there, just like a Club Pro guy. You know,
he had on his Bad Birdie shirt or whatever, and he thought, you know, he looked at his boys in the park, and I was like, we got this. We actually, you know, he saw all the competition, saw Gramps over there with a, you know, some sort of.
That's the thing. He had all those scratch golfers on his team. He thought they were going to win.
I know,
because he tried to cheat his team. You know, like put that
ringer team together.
Put the ringer team together, and they got their ass kicked.
You know, there's guys. I mean, there are at least around Augusta. I'm sure this is everywhere, but I know guys who are 4 good golfers, and they literally will enter. I guess they all just either, I don't know. I only know a couple of them in the group, but I don't know if they just all have the most flexible jobs in the world, or maybe they're all just deadbeats. But they will travel around the Augusta area and just play in any sort of scramble they can get in. Even if they have no attachment to the calls or the people throwing or whatever, they will just play in those to just collect, because they just go and beat everybody's brains out. Like, Oh dear. Anyway,
All right. Moving on. Final topic of the day. Something a little more lighthearted, a little more funny. We've got today is the 28th anniversary of the release of Happy Gilmore. That's crazy that it's been 28 years since that movie has come out.
Jeez.
But awesome, just awesome golf movie. One of the best, better than Caddyshack, in my opinion, which I got told one time I was not a real golfer because I had that opinion. But that's a story for a different time.
does that mean Happy's grandma is dead for real now? Like she's for real dead?
Yeah.
She's got
Chubbs just passed away, so I would
know.
imagine that grandma's up in the sky with the gator
Don't be
and
sticking
Abraham
your
Lincoln.
Influence, by the way, before we do this thing that we're about to do. You're already kind of trying to influence things, Tony.
Yeah,
With your
that's
opinion on these movies.
That's the job of a good moderator.
So Tony, you're gonna draft with us, right?
Yeah. I've got my big board up here.
You definitely have to draft with us.
So we need everybody to drop a comment on the YouTube video. Who you think has the best team? Where was the biggest reach? You know, what was the biggest movie left off the board at the end of this? And Tony, how did you determine the order?
I haven't yet. We're gonna do that live on air. We can do a little Rochambeau. Pick a number. I don't know. How do you want to do it?
Well, Rochambeau would be hard, I guess. Why don't you know what? I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna say let's go in age order. So Pat, we'll let seniors go first. Well, we're gonna honor the group that shot a 48 and let a senior go first. And then I think is it me, Tony, or you?
Yeah, I'm 35. So you're how old are you, DB?
40.
Oh, happy birthday, man.
Thanks, man.
I think that's
it's not my birthday month anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize you turned 40.
Me either.
All right. So
By the way, that's a good way to do it because some of these these movies are sort of age related too.
Right.
Which leads me to the number one pick.
Snake draft, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Which is going to be, snake draft. We're going to go with Caddyshack off the board first. I mean, I love Caddyshack. It's the first golf movie I think I ever saw. You know, you read off lines all the time from Caddyshack. You got the characters from that movie. You got Bill Murray in that movie. I mean, I just there's a lot to be said, but I'll go Caddyshack number one.
Well, I'm grateful that you did that because to me, Caddyshack is kind of the Jamarcus Russell of this draft, right? It's
no way. You
but it's
not
it ends up kind of being a no. I'm just kidding. Caddyshack is not a bust. I like Caddyshack a lot, but I do agree with Tony, and I'm going to take it right in front of him that Happy Gilmore is the greatest golf movie of all time. So I'm going Happy. Go to your home. Going with Happy.
I love that movie too. You can't really go wrong probably with these first 3 or 4.
Sorry, I took a sec there. I had to go old school, and this is how our draft board is going to be. Just me writing it down because I'm not technologically advanced and can find a good draft board to put up here. But maybe in post, I'll add some pictures or something. But anyway, no, great pick, DB.
Thank you.
Quote that movie constantly.
Yeah.
Just a great. So these top 5 or 6 picks between all of us, they're all going to be pretty much chalk. So doing some research for this, putting the big board together. We got some good ones coming in round 3 and 4 that I'm excited about to debate with you guys. But I think if we're going golf movies, first pick for me left on the board, I got to go 10 Cup. That's got a mix of comedy, drama, and then you've got you've got the ending and everything like that too. So
it's one you can watch with your lady too. It's one you can watch with
All right. So then back to me. So now my strategy for this going forward is I probably haven't seen any of the rest of these movies, but the people who are featured in them are going to make me think about other movies that I can think about if I ever do watch these movies. So with that being said, I'm going to go with The Greatest Game Ever Played because that's got Shia LaBeouf. And then I'll think about the Transformers movies. So I'm going to go Greatest Game Ever Played coming back.
Francis We Met. That's a great movie. I can't believe you've not seen that movie, Tony. That is on Golf Channel all the time.
You need to watch it. It is good.
And I changed the channel.
Are we doing 3 rounds?
I did 4 so we could get to 12.
Okay. God, so you sniped that one in front of me. Just like I was happy from you. Because that's a good one. You can watch that one with your kids. It's clean, I'm gonna go. This could be a reach in the draft, but at this point, I'm gonna appeal to the people. It's a movie about one of the greatest names in golf, and it's played by Jesus. Jim Caviezel played Bobby Jones in Bobby Jones' Stroke of Genius. So if you got Jimmy C doing Jesus and Bobby Jones in the same era, I mean, it came out in 2004. I think that's a win. So
I think those were the same year when I was looking that up. I saw 2004 next to that.
bro, I mean, that bangers only for Jimmy C in 04. You know what I mean?
All right, Pat.
All right. There are very few movies out there, and not just golf movies, where I've actually read the book and then the movie came out. And that is Bagger Vance. I read that book and I liked the book. And you never think a movie can you never think it's going to be as good as the book is going to. But I thought it was pretty good, so I did like Bagger Vance. So I'll go with Bagger Vance.
All right, you got another one.
Ooh, I do have another one. All right, this is the reach.
Don't steal my.
This is a huge reach, and I know I'm not going to steal. You've probably never even seen this, but I did see these as a kid. I don't know if you could classify them as movies, but I did like to watch it. Dorf on Golf.
Oh, that is such a good pull. That's
Dorf
such a good
on
pull.
Golf is my next pick.
That is such a good pull. God, I'm so mad at myself for not thinking about that. Had you drafted that first, I would have been really pleased with that. Such a good pull. The kids these days have no idea.
No clue. No clue.
God, dude, my dad used to rent those for me.
I think my
The
dad
VHS
dude,
tape.
I think my dad
Golly.
I think my dad went ahead and just bought it.
Oh. God, that's so good. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. This is not an exciting one. I'm gonna save that one for last, but I will say this is a very underrated golf movie. If you've not seen it, Lucas Black stars in it. Robert Duvall. I love Robert Duvall. If you don't love Robert Duvall, I don't know what's wrong with you. But 7 Days in Utopia is a great movie. Lucas Black, the Texas boy. You know how I love to talk about the Texas boys, and he's hitting the little low stingers in the wind, and he's battling, and he's having his problems, and his strokes gained home life is all out of whack. Great movie. 7 Days in Utopia. If you've not watched it, that's my next pick.
All right, good pull there, DB. All right, next one I'm gonna go with, and this is I just learned about this movie this morning, but one actress in this makes it look watchable. Like I said, I'm going to be thinking about a different movie while I'm watching this movie. It's called Swing Away, featuring Shannon Elizabeth of American Pie fame.
Okay. See where the mind is going here.
What's being swung?
So when an American pro is suspended from the LPGA Tour, which I would just love to see her golf swing too, like the actor, actress, terrible golf swing type thing. Her escape to Greece and the village of her grandparents leads to a showdown against a greedy American developer that changes the lives of the villagers and herself forever.
Okay, so that's not exactly what I thought it was. Okay.
All right, swinging it back. This one again. This is an all-time. Which I was watching the trailer for this one before we popped on, and the actual full movie is on YouTube. Back in the early 90s, Leslie Nielsen put out some golf tips. Leslie Nielsen's Bad Golf Made Easier is what I'm going to go with for my fourth one, which the trailer, he walks up to the caddy shack and they said there's a 5-hour wait. So he slips him a 20 and he's teaching you how to hide the money in your hand properly. That way you can get on the course. So that's what, it's a spoof of a golf instruction video, which I'm very excited to watch.
It was kind of like a little Club Pro Guy-esque before Club Pro Guy. We should have Pat reenact some of the best scenes from Leslie Nielsen's.
You were after we finished recording here. That was on my list to talk to you about doing something
Dorf on Golf. Although that might get us in trouble for something.
All right, I'm going crazy town here too. Now this is a more recent flick, so a lot of people may not have seen this. And if you're into golf, but you're also into horror movies and blood and gore, a struggling golf course suffers a string of caddy murders at the paws of pesticide-mutated gophers, while the greedy owner of the facility tries to cover up the carnage, and an unhinged groundskeeper wages an all-out war on the vicious vermin in Caddy Hack 2023 film. You got to check it out. You can get it on Blu-ray. You can probably find it, maybe deep in the annals of Amazon Prime. Caddy Hack, baby.
Okay.
Pesticide mutant gopher just biting your balls off and
I guarantee you Bill Murray's in that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm so glad you mentioned this, Stevie, that you went to that, because you brought back a memory that I had no clue. I forgot about it, and you're gonna love this. Okay, so this is another horror movie. Okay,
I think I know where you're going.
This is called. By the way, the person who helped develop
yes.
Golby logo is listed on IMDb as the writer of this movie. It is called The Greenskeeper.
Yes, that's right. With
Little
John
homage to our buddy Alex Ware, who is listed on there. If you look it up on IMDb, he is the second writer listed. And I've actually seen not the whole thing, but I've seen a lot of it. We had drinks at Alex's house and watched it, and it was interesting to say the least. So I'm going to have to go to The Greenskeeper as my last
one. And John Rocker, the pitcher for the Braves, was in that movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Alex, I just don't want to glaze over that. Alex, who wrote it, is basically the guy behind creating Golby for us.
Yeah.
Brilliant creative guy in Augusta. Fantastic stuff. That's a great pull too, Pat. That's a beautiful pull.
Yeah.
Good draft.
We should do some of these. I got a couple honorable mentions here just because they're funny golf movies. But we should do some kind of like watch party with some of these. Like it would be interesting just to sit down and watch, maybe have him and like if we could get John Rocker and do like a Zoom watch call or something like that.
Alex would do it, I guarantee you.
Like Mystery Science Theater 3000 used to do.
Yeah, just something like that. A couple of the honorable mentions I got. One from 1989 called Blades, not with Wesley Snipes, but somewhere in New Jersey, a killer lawnmower stalks a small town's golf course.
Killer lawnmower?
Yeah. I feel like that's in the Stephen King Cars and Pet Sematary vein.
It's not blades as in like hitting blades, like irons that are blades?
It looks, no, it's like from like blades of a lawnmower.
So they kind of stole the greenskeeper idea a little bit.
And then
go ahead, Tony.
We got the made-for-TV movie, The Tiger Woods Story, which wrapped and was produced in 1998. So we got a big gap there as far as some of the drama that could be added to that. But the biography of Tiger Woods from his birth to winning his first golf major at the I love IMDb and non-sports people. Winning his first golf major at the Augusta Masters in 1997.
I love it. Golf in the Kingdom is listed in there, and I've heard that's a fantastic book. I have not seen the movie. I don't know if DB's seen it, but that's listed kind of up in the top 20 in rankings and everything. So
the Tiger Woods movie that Tony's referencing, the cover of that is like
Look at that.
What you say, girl? What? Bitch, what? I will slap. What? That's what that looks like. It looks like it looks like you just something that is just the most ratchet ass Tiger.
I just don't think Tiger's ever even given that look.
Oh boy, that is funny. All right, good stuff. That was fun. The Bump and Run episode. Tony, what episode is this?
6. Episode
6 in the books. We'll be back next week, regularly scheduled on a Thursday. Thank you to our friends at Swannies for decking us out in gear that's a heck of a lot better than Sunday Red. And thank you to producer Tony for putting together another fire show. Hope you have a great week. See ya. Out.
Nothing yet, Tony.
Keeping it real.